female federal prison guard in court today charged with having an illegal affair with an inmate.
In a shocking twist of law enforcement gone awry, the following stories unveil a startling reality.
Romantic entanglements between male inmates and female staff.
Female police entangled in scandalous affairs with inmates. From the confines of correctional facilities to the corridors of justice, these tales of forbidden connections blur the lines between authority and desire, leaving everyone questioning the system entrusted with maintaining order. Join us as we delve into the riveting narratives of these women who found themselves entangled in a web of temptation and transgression in pursuit of their sworn duty. These are 5 female cops getting caught with inmates. Number 1. A tale of forbidden desires at Berwyn Prison. In a shocking twist of fate within the confines of Berwyn Prison, a 27-year-old prison officer named Aisha Gunn has found herself on the wrong side of the law, entangled in a web of forbidden passion that rocked the prison's foundations. A tumultuous affair with Karam Razak, an inmate that's serving a 12-year sentence for conspiracy for robbery, has sent shockwaves through the establishment, resulting in Gunn's incarceration for 12 months. As we delve into this sensational story, you will be captivated by the audacity of their actions and the astounding breach of trust that unfolded within these prison walls. Mold Crown Court, known for its solemn proceedings, became the stage for this extraordinary tale of transgression. The courtroom was abuzz with whispers as the details of Gunn and Razak's torrid affair would unravel. The narrative would leave even the most seasoned of court reporters spellbound. Gunn, a probationary office at the Category C Berwyn Prison, had her life irrevocably altered by the events that transpired between July and November of 2019. The prison, nestled in the quiet town of Wrexham, had only opened its doors in February of 2017, and Gunn, a newly recruited and brimming with enthusiasm officer, stepped into the challenging world, oblivious to the turbulent path that laid ahead. The courtroom was full of gasps of disbelief as the prosecution revealed the extent of the explicit messages, videos, and live footage that Gunn and Razak had exchanged on their mobile phones. It was a reckless dance with danger that would have consequences neither of them could have foreseen. Photographs of the ill-fated couple, locked in each other's embrace, sharing stolen moments, emerge as undeniable evidence. Shockingly, some of these photos were taken within Razak's very own cell, a daring action that pushed the boundaries of their clandestine relationship. The courtroom's atmosphere grew intense as the sordid details unfolded. The prosecution painted a vivid picture of the developed relationship, describing it as grossly inappropriate and emphasizing its role in Gunn's ultimate downfall. What began as a casual flirtation had morphed into a reckless obsession that would have dire repercussions for both parties. One chilling revelation that sent shivers down the spines of those in attendance was Razak's sinister manipulation of the officer. On one occasion, he directed her to perform explicit acts during a live video exchange, leaving her vulnerable. The judge would later characterize this as a shocking abuse of power, further highlighting the toxic dynamics at play. But the revelations do not stop there. Gunn had not only compromised her professional integrity, but had also smuggled a pair of panties into the prison for Razak, concealing them within her bra. It was a bold action that underscored the depths to which she had fallen under his spell. In a tense courtroom, Judge Nicholas Perry delivered his verdict, his words ringing with gravity. He would emphasize the fundamental breach of trust that had taken place, asserting that the case was about breaching trust and that she was the person trusted. Once entrusted with maintaining order and upholding the law within the prison, Gunn had now faltered most egregiously, and when addressing her actions, the judge did not mince his words. He stated that over months, infatuated, she exhibited selfishness on a staggering scale. The gravity of her misconduct could not be understated, and the courtroom echoed with a sense of collective astonishment at the magnitude of her betrayals. The inmate had cast a dark shadow over the proceedings and was dealt with separately. His fate would be sealed with a consecutive 8-month jail term for possessing contraband items within the prison, specifically a smartwatch and a mobile phone. The judge's orders were equally stern. He told him that he was a dangerous man, and before the age of 30, he had received 2 sentences in double figures. His actions, both inside and outside the prison walls, had painted a chilling portrait of a man who posed a significant threat to society. As the courtroom emptied out, the echoes of this shocking tale lingered in the air, leaving everyone who had witnessed the proceedings with a sense of disbelief. A prison officer, entrusted with maintaining order and upholding the law, had allowed herself to become trapped in a treacherous web of passion with a dangerous inmate. The consequences dire, with both of them facing jail time and a legacy that had been tarnished by reckless actions. The story of Gun and Razak is a stark reminder of the fragility of trust, even within the most secure of institutions. It's a cautionary tale highlighting the potential consequences of unchecked desire and catastrophic impacts on individuals and the institutions that they serve. As the prison gates close behind them, Gun and Razak leave a legacy of scandal and disgrace that's been forever etched into the annals of Berwyn Prison's history. Number 2. California Corrections Officer terminated and arrested for inmate physical relationships. In a startling and deeply concerning development, officials in the picturesque Modoc County of California have taken a swift action against a corrections officer embroiled in a shocking scandal. Melanie Alicia Martin, a 34-year-old officer with the county sheriff's office, found herself on the wrong side of the law when she was arrested in September of 2022 and subsequently terminated. And the reason? Allegations of her involvement in physical relationships with inmates who were under her supervision. The gravity of the accusations against her could not be overstated. California law prohibits correctional officers from engaging in physical activity with inmates. The rationale behind the legal stance is clear. Inmates confined within the confines of the detention facility cannot provide meaningful consent. Consequently, any such physical contact is considered a grave breach of the law and a severe violation of ethical norms. Modoc County Sheriff Tex Dowdy, a stalwart figure in law enforcement, wasted no time addressing the alarming situation. In a public statement, he affirmed the seriousness with which his office views these allegations. Sheriff Dowdy recognized the issue's significance, entrusting an external agency responsible for conducting a thorough investigation. This move underscored the commitment of the sheriff's office to uphold the law and maintain the highest standards of integrity within its ranks. To provide context, Modoc County is situated in the picturesque northeast corner of California, sharing borders with both Oregon and Nevada. It's known for its breathtaking natural beauty, making this scandal jarring against serene landscapes and a tranquil community. The allegations against the now disgraced officer came to light following reports by the sheriff's office. These reports hinted at physical relationships involving at least one inmate and the officer. This revelation brought to the forefront the pertinent question of legality and ethics within the prison system. This statute explicitly prohibits specific individuals, including correctional officers, from engaging in any form of physical activity with an inmate. The legal provision is grounded in a fundamental principle: the inability of the inmate to provide meaningful consent when confined in a detention facility. The consequences became severe for the officer. Her arrest and subsequent booking into jail came swift, accompanied by a bail that was set at $20,000. This sequence of events underscored the uncompromising stance of the law enforcement system against any misconduct within its ranks, regardless of the perpetrator's position or authority. This scandal cast a dark shadow on the individual involved and broader corrections system, raising questions about the oversight and ethical standards in place within detention facilities. It prompted a necessary examination of the measures to prevent such an incident and protect the vulnerable population that's under custody. And in a time where trust in law enforcement is paramount, incidents like these serve as stark reminders of the work that still remains to be done. The sheriff's office dedication to addressing the issue head-on by initiating an external investigation and terminating the accused officer underscored their commitment to transparency and accountability. And as the investigation proceeded, the community and the public had to remain informed and vigilant. Questions surrounded the extent of the alleged misconduct, the impact on the inmates involved, and the measures in order to prevent such occurrences should they be at the forefront of discussion. This incident is a solemn reminder of the vital role played by law enforcement agencies in safeguarding the rights and dignity of individuals, even those who are within the confines of a detention facility. The trust that society places in these agencies demands an unwavering commitment to justice and ethical conduct, and any deviations from these principles must be met with relentless action and accountability. The arrest and termination of the officer on charges of engaging in a physical relationship with inmates is a disturbing incident that underscores the need for constant vigilance, accountability, and adherence to the law within the correction system. Number 3. Former prison workers' illicit affairs and contraband smuggling rock Silverwater Jail. In a jaw-dropping revelation that has sent shockwaves through the correctional system, a 25-year-old female prison worker by the name of Melissa Goodwin found herself in hot water. Suspended earlier for questionable relationships with a former inmate, she was now facing charges of engaging in an illicit affair with another prisoner at the jail where she worked. The allegations against her included physical misconduct and smuggling contraband into the facility. The sordid tale of misconduct, secrecy, and betrayal bewildered authorities and the public. Her fall from grace began when she was arrested at a residence in a suburb in Sydney Southwest. The morning of her arrest would be marked by disbelief as law enforcement officials apprehended her and escorted her to the police station. The charges against her were quite grave, encompassing holder of public office misconduct and engaging in a relationship with an inmate causing a safety risk. The heart of the matter revolved around an alleged physical relationship between her and a 21-year-old inmate. Shockingly, the relationship was reported to have spanned over several months, commencing in November of 2019, and involved 5 separate physical encounters within the facility itself. The Correctional Services Investigation Unit, led by Detective Inspector Robert Hollows, would be alerted to these allegations when evidence of correspondence between the pair came to light. Adding fuel to the fire, Ms. Goodwin is also accused of smuggling contraband into the prison, which included items like tobacco, lighters, and chewing gum. The sinister revelation further tarnished her image and raised serious questions about the security and integrity of the prison system. The unraveling of this scandal paints a picture of deception and misconduct that is hard to fathom. The affair between Miss Goodwin and the inmate continued unabated for months, concealed from the prying eyes of prison authorities. The 5 separate physical actions within the facility would suggest a shocking disregard for rules and regulations that jeopardize the safety of inmates and staff. Detective Inspector Hollows would note that the illicit relationship had been ongoing, implying a prolonged period of misconduct that went undetected. And such a revelation raises questions about the effectiveness of the system's internal checks and balances. These allegations of contraband smuggling add another layer of complexity to this scandal. Introducing prohibited items into a correctional facility compromises the security and discipline of the prison, endangering the well-being of staff and inmates. It's an action that, if proven true, highlights a profound lack of integrity on the part of everyone involved. Her current legal woes are not isolated incidents, though. Just prior to her arrest, she would be suspended from her job for failing to declare her association with a former inmate. The ex-convict, bikie associate, and aspiring rapper had a history with the officer that raised eyebrows and questions about her judgment and ethical standards. The fact that she was previously suspended would hint at a pattern of behavior that authorities had begun to recognize. The strong disregard for regulations and questionable associations with inmates would cast a shadow over her suitability for a role in the correctional system, and the subsequent arrest placed her actions under the spotlight, calling into question the efficacy in promptly identifying and addressing such issues. The public is simply left to grapple with the allegations of this scandal and all of the legal repercussions that are involved. And if found guilty, she will not only face legal repercussions, but also potentially tarnish the reputation of the entire correctional facility. It's on the correctional system to ensure that those who uphold the law are themselves held accountable when they stray from it. This case serves as a stark reminder of the need for vigilance and transparency in the administration of justice, even within the walls of a prison. Number 4. Scandal Unveiled. Former jail deputy's shocking affair with an inmate. In a startling revelation that sent shockwaves through Montgomery County, a former deputy of the county jail, Charlene Diane O'Banion, was sentenced to 100 days in jail for engaging in improper physical activity with an inmate named Jacob Parker. The scandal unfolded when a recorded call came to light, exposing their clandestine relationship. The shocking story highlighted the grave breach of trust within the criminal justice system and raised questions about the safety and security of those incarcerated in county jails. The affair between the pair came to light in December of 2021 when they shared a recorded call. During that call, they openly discussed their physical activities, leading to alarm bells ringing within the justice community. Authorities would swiftly launch an investigation into the matter, and that's when they unearthed a disturbing tale of misconduct within the walls of the county jail. The sheriff's office conducted an interview with the officer, during which she confessed to having engaged in intimate actions with the inmate in November of 21, within the confines of the jail. The illicit encounter occurred in an area hidden from prying eyes, further underscoring the audacity of their actions. A detective involved in the case provided insight into the incident's circumstances, saying that the officer revealed that a drug issue within the jail had resulted in a shortage of floor workers in a certain housing section inside the facility. To cope with the shortage, jail staff had to resort to recruiting volunteers from another housing unit to perform the cleaning duties. O'Banion admitted that she took advantage of the situation, seizing an opportunity to rendezvous with Parker in a secluded space within the jail. Their intimate encounter involved passionate kissing and physical activity, which according to the officer transpired only once. The inmate had been incarcerated since March of 21, making this breach of professional ethics and abuse of power even more reprehensible. The jail is meant to be a place where individuals are securely held while awaiting trial or serving out their sentences, and the trust placed in the staff is paramount to the function of the criminal justice system. The scandal raised many questions and concerns regarding the operations and oversight of jails nationwide. How could such a flagrant violation of protocol and ethics occur within the walls of a correctional facility? What safeguards and mechanisms were in place to prevent such an incident, and why, in this case, did they fail? First and foremost, it underscores the critical importance of stringent background checks and ongoing oversight of jail personnel. Those entrusted with the responsibility of maintaining order while ensuring the safety and security of inmates have to meet the highest standards of integrity. The actions of the officer fell far short of these expectations, and the revelation of drug issues within the jail painted a troubling picture of such a facility's internal challenges. Substance abuse and addiction among inmates are persistent problems that demand attention and solutions. The alleged connection between these issues and the breach of ethics in this case cannot be ignored. Addressing the root cause of such problems within the correctional system is imperative in preventing similar incidents from occurring in the future. The handling of volunteers from other housing units also warrants scrutiny. While utilizing volunteers to address staffing shortages may be a pragmatic solution, it should not compromise the security and ethics of the facility. Strict guidelines and supervision are essential in ensuring that such volunteers do not have the opportunity to engage in inappropriate activities with inmates. Another concerning aspect of the case, the apparent lack of surveillance and oversight within the jail. How would it be possible for an officer and an inmate to engage in physical activity without being detected? The safety of inmates and staff depends on robust surveillance systems and vigilant monitoring. The incident underscored the need for comprehensive security measures within a correctional facility. Additionally, the case raised questions about reporting mechanisms for inmates to report abuse or misconduct by jail staff. Ensuring that inmates have a safe and confidential means to report wrongdoing is essential to maintaining the criminal justice system's integrity. The sentencing of Charlene Diane O'Banion to 100 days in jail is a small step towards accountability for her actions, but it will not undo the damages that have been caused by the scandal. Correctional facilities have to thoroughly review their policies and procedures to prevent similar incidents in the future. This case should catalyze reform and a renewed commitment to upholding the highest standards of ethics and professionalism within the criminal justice system. The affair between the deputy and the inmate exposed a disturbing breach of trust and ethical misconduct within the county jail system, highlighting the need for rigorous background checks, oversight, and accountability for jail personnel, as well as the importance of addressing internal issues like substance abuse and addiction amongst inmates. Number 5. Tilly Mitchell found guilty of helping convicted killers escape. Joyce Tilly Mitchell, a former corrections worker, was entangled in a notorious prison escape that gripped the nation's attention. Her involvement with convicted murderers, including aiding their escape plan, made headlines leading to her imprisonment. In the summer of 2015, she became the central figure in an audacious escape from the Clinton Correctional Facility in northern New York, a maximum security prison. The facility had not witnessed such an escape in a century, and the duo's elaborate plan sent shockwaves through the nation. Both convicted criminals, Richard Matt and David Sweat, were the masterminds behind the daring escape. They had utilized hacksaw blades and other tools to meticulously cut through their cell walls, creating an underground tunnel to freedom. However, the plan was not a solo effort, and it revolved around the officer. She had been employed at the prison since 2008, initially serving as an industrial training supervisor. In 2013, she then moved to Taylor Shop 1, where her interactions with inmates, especially Matt and Sweat, began raising eyebrows amongst her coworkers. Her inappropriate relationships with the inmates evolved as they groomed her, hoping to receive special treatment and favors. Her interactions with the inmates escalated, which culminated in physical encounters with one and sharing nude photos with the other. She became convinced that she was in love with them, getting caught up in a dangerous fantasy. They then unveiled their plan to escape and approached her for assistance and discussed a plot to kill her husband. Mitchell agreed to help and began smuggling hacksaw blades and other contraband into the prison, hidden within frozen meats. Matt and Sweat used these tools to carve their way through the prison walls, creating a tunnel system, and had planned to exit through a maintenance hole 400 feet from the prison's perimeter, where Mitchell was supposed to pick them up in a getaway car. They would be stocked with weapons, camping gear, and supplies. However, when the fateful day arrived, she had checked herself into a local hospital, claiming chest pains due to nerves. Her sudden change of heart would leave the inmates without a concrete escape plan, and her decision to back out may have saved her life, as there were suspicions that the inmates may have eliminated her to avoid being tracked down. The escape triggered a massive search which involved over 1,300 law enforcement officers and extended through the Adirondacks near the Canadian border, leading to roadblocks and lockdowns. Authorities would eventually arrest Mitchell in June of 2015 on charges of providing material assistance to the escapees. She would plead guilty to one felony charge of promoting prison contraband and one misdemeanor charge of criminal facilitation. In September of 2015, she was sentenced to up to 7 years in prison in order to pay $80,000 in restitution for the damages that had been caused during the escape. Another corrections officer named Eugene Palmer had a connection with Matt and also faced charges, being sentenced to 6 months in jail. The escape and the subsequent search came at a considerable cost to the state of New York. Alone, the search incurred approximately $23 million in law enforcement overtime expenses, and the state spent $500,000 to enhance security measures at the correctional facility and repair the damages caused by the escape. Mitchell would be released from the Bedford Hills Correctional Facility in Westchester County, New York in February of 2020 and placed under community supervision until June of 2022. She returned to her home near the Canadian border, where her husband Lyle had visited her regularly throughout her sentencing. Her actions directly contributed to releasing two dangerous individuals into the public, raising concerns about the potential harm that could have occurred. In the end, her involvement in the prison break of the pair remains a captivating and cautionary tale of how a seemingly ordinary corrections worker became entangled in a high-stakes escape plan with tragic consequences.